Gina Carano posted an update on the artist formerly known as Twitter about her lawsuit with Disney. And it's actually very, very, I guess, positive, I guess you'd say. So for those of you out there who might have been following this, so, Gina Carano made a tweet a while back that got her fired from Lucasfilm because they were equating her with neo-Nazi.
I hope to God everybody knows this story already, because I don't want to listen to you go through it.
But so she was wrongfully terminated. There were a bunch of plans for Star Wars for her character, Cara Dune, that got thrown out the window because somebody in Lucasfilm had a problem with Gina Carano. And then Elon Musk bought Twitter and decided that he was going to help her fund a lawsuit for wrongful termination. And so Gina has been taking Disney to court, and Disney right off the bat tried to get the case dismissed outright.
Yep.
And despite all their power and influence and money, the judges in California, no less, basically said, like, no, you can't throw this out. So Disney immediately started appealing, and it got to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is like the California Supreme Court, basically. And basically Disney was like, hey, we did nothing wrong here. This lawsuit's frivolous. It deserves to be thrown out. And even the Ninth Circuit, the most overturned court in all of America,
That's true.
said, no, you don't have standing. This lawsuit is going forward. And so now, short of a appeal to the actual Supreme Court of the United States, Disney is going to be forced to start going into what's called discovery. And that's where basically Gina Carano and Elon Musk's team get access to all of Disney's records, and they're able to subpoena information.
And this is the important part. Also, streaming records, dude. We're going to be able to see how well the show did, how many subscribers they brought in, how many viewers. These are numbers we've never gotten to see before.
But we're also going to see about internal email, right, between Kathleen Kennedy and
that's the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
And try to see like the timeline of events that led up to them being fired. Tom, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that the funny thing was even in this decision, they called Disney's argument a straw man argument.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they really don't have a leg to stand on legally with this.
That's not looking good for Disney at all. No.
Yeah. But I want to throw this to the one person on the panel who has the most Disney stock of anyone.
Oh my
which
God.
is Brian from the Popcast. Brian, since you are a shareholder,
Wow.
a major shareholder in Disney, you own more Disney stock than George Lucas does.
Nobody owns more stock than George Lucas does.
How do you think this lawsuit is going to affect the stock price?
It's probably not going to go great. That's I guarantee it. When Matt is right, 85% of my portfolio is Disney. When the pandemic happened, I'm like, dude, Disney is at an all-time low, and I just literally had like the auto transfer on, where it was just like, take this money out of my account and buy Disney stock every week. And now I am just so upside down.
I should have sold out when Chapek was there and it was at 200.
100% I should have done that. You're completely right, Tom. Thank you for telling me now.
Wow, he didn't ask, and I'm not a financial
So
advisor.
I have a ton of stock, and I'm just watching it constantly drop. I don't think this news is good for stockholders. And, the other day I actually considered, like, should I just dump now? Because I'm not sure it's going to get, it's eventually going to get better because inflation is going to cause it to go up eventually. Maybe in the next 30 years I'm solvent, but I don't know how much better. I don't think it's ever going to get good. And I'm telling you, I am so upside down. This is like, I'm in this weird position where if I sell now, it's not just like, oh, I'm admitting defeat and I'm losing some money. No, I'm like losing like everything. So I can't sell now, and I'm just watching it every day in this weird sort of ethereal state of depression. So thank you for bringing that up, Matt. I appreciate it.
Sucks.
Oh, my job here is done. Odin, I wanted to ask you about this because, I don't think it's ever happened that Kathleen Kennedy has had anyone fight back against her terrible decisions. And this is a very high profile and potentially dangerous lawsuit for her in particular, because if in discovery it comes out that she unfairly targeted and unfairly terminated Gina Carano for her political beliefs, when every other Star Wars actor is free to express their left-leaning political beliefs, And Gina Carano wasn't even right wing. I'd say that she was just common sense when she was posting these like memes and stuff like that. But do you think that this has the potential to actually force Kathleen Kennedy out?
Man, I hope so. I've always said that I thought that the only way that Kathleen Kennedy would ever leave is either like two ways, either of her own volition, or if the actual members of the board / stockholders actually started to hold the company to account and to make change happen. This could potentially be kind of a curveball to that, right? Where maybe you could see something happen. Honestly, though, the only thing I want to see happen in regards to Kathleen Kennedy in this case is I would love for her to be put on the stand. And I would love for her to be grilled. And I would love her to have to admit that she either did indeed discriminate against Gina Carano because of her political beliefs, or openly lie about the fact that she discriminated. And if in discovery things are discovered where they're able to say, oh, well, you say that you did not do this, and yet we have this email right here where very clearly you're mentioning it, would be amazing. So even if they don't have that, to see her on the stand, I think would be the best. I would love to see them put this thing as like a broadcasted case where you could actually see the video feeds. I don't know who will have that power or not, because man, oh man, I know every person in our community will be watching that thing every single moment that it was on, just for those moments like that. I want to see her on the stand, and I want to see her humiliated.
Oh, the watch along court TV YouTube streams are going to be crazy.
Dude, Gary and Jeremy would make so much money if that happened.
Screw them, I'm doing it, man. What
Are you
talking
kidding me?
about?
Like the legal eagles would really too, but
But also think about for Jeremy, like once the election's over, he's not gonna have as much to stream. It's like boom, it gives him another thing to stream 24/7. So
I honestly, if anybody does that, I'm watching Jay's channel. That's where I'm gonna go for that.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Because they're friends.
Yeah, they are friends. Paulie, what do you think about the fact that this lawsuit has failed to be quashed by the long arm of Disney? Do you think that what are the repercussions you think could be from something like this?
I think slightly that people will get fired. I'd actually would be shocked if it goes to court and actually see a KK on the stand. I think there'll be some. I think there's going to be like some last minute decisions made, and some people are going to get paid off.
Right.
But there's going to be like some public, on paper, like decision that people can be able to read, because,
you think she's going to settle?
It would be a settlement to where she doesn't care about the money. It's more of
her reputation,
of the reputation being was it not reinstalled or
reinstated
when it comes to what those particular people at Disney said in those press releases. They called her an anti-Semite. I mean, this is heavy stuff.
Yeah.
This is and good for Elon, good for Gina. It also is going to go a long ways to, with future stuff, to where studios need to watch what they say as well in regards to now I'm going to talk about Melissa Barrera and how they called her the very same thing. I mean, that was, and they fired her from the job. That was even it was even worse. So, this is great. Gina's a pioneer, man, and God bless her.
And God bless Elon. Damn.
I think the discovery and everything on paper is gonna be damaging enough. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of disagree about the settlement idea here, because Gina Carano has been very vocal. Like, she went on Patrick Bet-David's podcast and a couple other podcasts where she basically laid out exactly what she went through, and how basically after Lucasfilm blackballed her, all of her offers dried up.
Yep.
Right. Like this was supposed to be her big breakout, that she was supposed to be getting all types of work, stuff like that. And then after this happened, basically Hollywood put her on a blacklist, and her career has just screeched to a stop, essentially. And so when it comes to the settlement type thing, I feel like she's not in this to make money or get some type of like sweetheart deal or whatever. I feel like her and Elon want to make an example of Disney to stop this type of behavior from happening again. And so, like, I do think that even if Disney offered to settle out of court, I think that her and Elon would basically be like, no, we're taking this to court. We're going to be public about this. We're going to expose you, and we're going to make an example of you so that other studios don't do this type of shit to their talent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely don't think it's about the money. You know,
well, and she said she wouldn't settle for any less than what she's asking for. So they literally have to give her everything that she's asking for, up to including reinstating her in Star Wars.
Well, okay, so let's get back to that, because you know, she's a particular type of actor. She was a B-level at best, you know, action star. You know, she's pretty stiff in regards to her acting, but people liked her, and she did her films. This put her on another level, and she was getting better and better with her role.
Yep.
And that's the heartbreaker. It's not like her character, her storyline was done. It was just beginning.
Right.
And
it was just starting.
That's the real heartbreaker creatively, because if Favreau, you know, had really big plans for her in the role. And I think,
Paulie, did you see her in Deadpool?
Yeah, I mean, she was all right.
Well,
yeah, I mean, she wasn't great, but like, it was a big difference between Deadpool and her Mandalorian stuff. Like, it was much better in Mandalorian.
But on that note, I was just going to defend her a little bit as far as like her status, because she was on the way up, right? She had started in things like the Fast and the Furious. She was in Deadpool, and now she was in Star Wars. That's 3 major franchises this woman's been in, compared to Rachel Zegler, who we were just talking about, who's been in basically like 2.5 failures at this point, right? But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So like, I do see the argument as to where her trajectory was going in this direction of, yes, at some point she could be heading up her own films, but that's a maybe.
Yeah, we can go back and forth, because you know, a lot of those films, you know, are, you know, they cast, you know, athletes, or, you know, in this case, like the Ronda Rouseys and stuff. And if their acting career grows, that's great. You know, those are those movies, like you said, that those examples, those roles are so interchangeable. The names are so interchangeable. You got Vin Diesel, and you know, but the thing is again, is the Gina project was so it was on a different level, man. And this totally killed it. I mean, she was depressed for years. She talked about it. You know, that's awful.
They were making her own series, man.
That was all, but I'm just talking about emotionally and mentally what she has gone through. You know, so yeah, those are my feelings here.
I'd like to welcome Jay to the chat. He's in the chat, chatting away in there.
Oh, no way.
Letting us know that Gina's here in Vegas, going to do a rally or something, talking with Tulsi. I'd go see that.
What?
That'd be fun.
Gina and Tulsi?
Gina and
That's
Tulsi.
a TV show right there.
That's a ticket right there, man. I'd vote for that.
What's going on, Jay? Love you, brother.
Yes, we are all fans of Drunk 3PO on the show. Mr. Butters.
Yeah.
What's your take on this lawsuit? Do you think that it's going to keep going forward, and do you think
God,
it's going to hurt Disney?
I really hope so. I hope that spills all the tea. I really do. I want to see them, Gina and Elon's lawyers, go in there and just wreak havoc, because something has to happen. They have to expose this stuff. And I'm so happy that, you know, I'm not happy for what happened to her.
No,
but I'm happy that they're in a position now to where they can start exposing all this nonsense that's been going on.
So talking about exposing, right? I want to know who those. I want the names out and who wrote that press release, who released it, who is behind it,
right?
Because there's names behind that, and that's garbage.
I can guarantee you that their initials are P and H.
I was just gonna say they probably rhyme with Pablo Hidalgo.
Good old Pablo.
Yeah.
Really?
And there's even rumors that Leslie had a little play in this business and all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, she said some stuff publicly, but like, look, you guys are not wrong. I think that there's all kinds of stuff that's going to come out from behind the scenes, and we're going to see just how these people act and talk. It's going to look like a big gay ops. Freaking, it is. I guarantee you.
I know.
And the only thing Kathy might have in her defense is if she really is more of the satellite mom, from what I had heard before, that she might have been just so disconnected from all this shit. She's just probably like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. So that's might be possible. How she gets out of this, is that she just goes, look, I was just going with what my subordinates said.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that if it does come down to the fingers starting to point towards Kathleen Kennedy, she's going to throw Pablo under the bus
Oh,
immediately.
for sure.
He's going to be the
Absolutely.
scapegoat.
The Jay's has a great comment there.
Mhm.
Should
Yeah,
get
agreed.
Jay on here.
I know.
We should
But
get Jay
also-
on here.
But also with his comment there, I think it's also another point to say as to why settlement is not likely, because it's one, we know it's not about the money for her, but also even if it was, like, she's already getting so much just as a natural consequence of being the one going after Disney. And so even then it would be like, yeah, she has no real need for it either because of that point. And so I think that no matter which way you slice it, no matter which side of it you're on, you would have to admit that the chances of her going forward with this trial and going all the way with it are very high.
Yeah, and as Jay says here, the lawsuit definitely has made her more popular. She sells out at the Comic Cons. Kind of crazy because she's not in a major movie, but
It's crossed over into the mainstream because even my dad said something about it. If my dad's saying something about it, then that means it's been on the basic news stations and stuff.
And just following up on that, again, Melissa Barrera has been this year going to cons. Hers always sells out. She hasn't been in a major film. The ones that were done the ones that are coming out this year, as far as the production schedule, they were filmed years ago or last year. So Jay's absolutely right. It's the connection that Gina has made with her fans. They love her.
Well,
she's pure. She's genuine. Yeah, Melissa.
You know what's interesting though is that
and I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so like in writing, one of the big tricks to make a character instantly likable is to make them the recipient of undeserved misfortune. And not only was Gina the recipient of an undeserved misfortune, but she's basically been the underdog and she's been the victim of these like powerful people in Hollywood. And I think that that type of persecution endears people to someone. And the fact that, you know, that story got a lot of attention, people who didn't even know Gina or maybe weren't even aware of like her as an actress. Like I've known about her since, you know, American Gladiators back when I was a kid, you know, but this idea that, you know, there was this character in Star Wars, this actress, this minor role that was unfairly persecuted, that tends to translate to, you know, kind of like a groundswell of support. Even if you're not a fan of hers, you become a fan because you want to support the underdog. You know what I mean?
And you know, listen, to Hollywood, they changed their chones with the wind. So you know, I also see actors starting to come back into, you know, to stand up behind her. How brave you guys are now, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. After the fact. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, no actors ever get, you know, fired for comparing Donald Trump supporters to Yahtzees, right?
No.
Like no one on the other end of the political spectrum ever faces any type of like Mark Ruffalo can go out there and say some of the most vile, terrible stuff on his Twitter,
fine.
and Marvel never fires him.
Well, let's go back to the Gina thing. In the paperwork in this case, is Pedro Pascal is in this case as far as what he was able to do and stay employed. And she's absolutely right. You know, I don't agree with what Pedro put up there. That's not cool. No one said anything. You know, that was pretty vicious.
Yep.
You know, and that was way less nuanced than anything that
what kind
Not
of
to mention
timeline
Mark
are we looking
Hamill and sorry,
at? Well, I was just asking, what kind of timeline are we looking at with this court case thing? I mean, is this going to be another 5 years?
September next year.
Next year.
Cool.
Yeah,
just
like,
under a year away.
These things tend to drag a little bit.
Yeah.
But so Tom, Odin, Brian, overall, we did a story last week about how you know, studios are doing like focus groups and they're getting like fan focus groups to try to get ahead of like stuff like this. And they're also putting their actors through a boot camp to prepare them for like how to use social media, how to avoid pissing off the fan base and stuff like that. Do you think that going forward, this lawsuit could inform how studios train their top stars to avoid this type of like situation?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Like a media training.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen something like that.
Honestly, I think they need it because I think,
Yeah.
look, there's not too many people. Like, I know some people like to jump on the whole idea, well, they should be able to say whatever they want, because I get that all the time on X, right? It's like, yeah, that's fine. They have that right. But they also have the chance that they're going to lose over half their audience, right?
Yeah, and people need to be criticized and judged. You know, the criticism is very important to inform someone when they are saying stupid shit. And so that's our job. You know, it's society's job to criticize bad ideas. I'm not saying silence those ideas. Let them come out. Sunlight's the best disinfectant for bad ideas.
But I don't think it would hurt any of these people to be put through a program or a class to say, like, look, is this going to help your image if you go out and say F Trump, right?
But
you might feel that way. You might get a bunch of people that will rally behind you, but then at the same time, you're going to piss off half of your audience. Is that really something you want to do?
It's a business, right?
Right? Like, yeah, that's the way you got to look at it.
So Odin, one of the interesting things about this now, as opposed to when all this originally went down with Gina, is the fact that when Gina got canceled, essentially, all the major media platforms, and we know this because of the Twitter files, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Meta, like all this stuff, and the old Twitter, were all being controlled by former FBI officials and people who were actively trying to censor social media in order to push their agenda. That has since changed. We now have a different owner for Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter, in the sense that Elon has broken that stranglehold that the deep state used to have on all the social media platforms. And now actual information can get out there without being censored. And so we're now in a post-Elon era of social media. And it looks like Mark Zuckerberg's trying to follow suit with that because, you know, Meta's getting left behind in terms of like usage and you know, like engagement and stuff like that, because people are more free to do stuff on Twitter. So Odin, I just want to get your take before we move on from this. What do you think that Elon Musk factor has a role to play in this going forward?
Oh, I mean, this would not exist if Elon wasn't there. I mean, remember, this all stemmed from Elon saying, hey, if anyone has been wrongfully terminated because of their political opinions, let me know and we'll cover the court cost. And she put her name out there, and hey, the connection was made, and this is the reason why we're seeing this happen, why we're seeing this go forward. So if he had not purchased Twitter, right, I don't think that this case would be going forward at all, because I don't think that connection would have been made. And since it has been now made, because of all the changes that have been made to Twitter, obviously most of them on average, I would say, are good, with maybe a few of them, especially this new block thing, being like I don't know about that. But I do think ultimately that it's been this huge net positive, and it's allowed for these conversations to continue. And I think the reason why public sentiment is especially more so on her side and much less against Disney, or much more against Disney's side of it, is because of free conversation being allowed to happen on the platform.